Hey, I'm Owen Martin, the Master Distiller for Angel's Envy. This is a sherry single barrel. We did about 100 of these last year. We didn't put a whole lot of marketing behind it because, it was so limited, but honestly, it's sneakily one of the best things we made last year. So really cool to see it at Gary's Wine and Marketplace. There's not a lot of these left in the country, so come grab one. We haven't done a cellar release since 2022. But now I think my goal is to get those sped up a little, not sped up, but like when we see the right opportunity to do it. We're going to be roughly like yearly releases going forward, and then we'll sprinkle in some other single barrel type things or whenever we see the opportunities to. I think the story we're trying to tell around that of like why we made it is just as important. I mean, you guys see it, like there's freaking 100 bourbons on the shelf, and if you're just putting it on the shelf, the liquid would be amazing, but if you don't have a compelling like reason or story, like to me it has to have both at this point, because otherwise you're not going to be differentiated from anybody. So our name is Angel's Envy, and that refers to a process called the Angel Share. So anytime you're barrel aging a whiskey, we lose about 5% out of volume out of the barrel a year, evaporating, right? So to the angels. And so kind of the story around that is that our founder, back when he first came up with the product, believed that the liquid that was left in the barrels was so good that even that percentage that went to the angels wasn't enough, and they were envy of what was going to go into the bottle. There are barrels that held wine before them, so sherry is obviously just a little bit different than port wine. It's a little less sweet. The Oloroso ones, it just has this really nice, like nutty, fruity
nice
character.
touch to it.
So it's a little more subtle. But then the other thing we do with these ones is we finished it for about like a year and a half. So it's a pretty long finishing time. So 5-year-old bourbon,
usually a couple months,
and an extra year and a half in those sherry barrels. So it just really allowed like all the flavors to integrate really nicely. Yeah. So and I think it's kind of nice because then your big like Balvenie, your Scotch drinkers, there's like a common thread there. So if somebody who's more familiar with Scotch, that's still like the selling point, right? They're familiar with sherry finishes. Or if they're, a bourbon purist, then you can kind of scratch that itch too. So it sort of plays in both spaces. Yeah, so OG is going to be ruby port, right? So it's sweeter, sweeter, fruitier. I mean, just kind of, I don't want to say simple, but just, nice red fruit notes. Oloroso is just a little bit more that nutty, less sweet. And that's why we gave it a longer finishing time, because we knew we weren't going to like throw too much sweetness at the bourbon doing that. So I think it's still recognizably wine, but it's just a different wine profile. Because our flagship's ruby port, most of our single barrels are ruby port, even our cask strength releases are that. So this was the first time we've done anything with sherry since 2018, I think.